Oh, hi. My name is Chris Fricky from B8 International. You might remember me from such badly produced YouTube videos as the one where I'm marking queens in the rain and the one where I'm looking at my honey crop in California. Today we're going to talk about pest and disease identification in a beehive and how to basically do a basic inspection. Kind of stream through it here. So we're going to go with this beehive. First we smoke them. This top box is mostly empty because I just added it just today. But if we had hive beetles, we might be seeing hive beetles even on top of this top box that would be full of honey. And if you had a wax moth problem, wax moths typically get in your honey frames that are not covered in bees. So if the population was significantly reduced and this was left empty, you might have wax moths, in which case you would see big, fat, juicy grubs crawling around in there. And if you really let it go too long, you'd see a bunch of webbing. But if you're inspecting your beehives regularly, you should catch it before that happens. This is, of course, the queen excluder, which would keep the queen below it, and thus all the eggs and brood would be on these bottom two boxes. So this is a brood frame, which means the developing larvae are on this frame. So either the capped brood or under the caps here, and you got some uncapped brood over there, and some drones. Typically, a lot of the diseases you won't find in the fresh brood like this. It'll be in the darker brood, which we'll see in a moment in the bottom box. But it's worth taking a look anyway to see if you got anything going on here. We're in Australia, so we don't have to worry about varroa mites. If we were in the United States or anywhere else in the world, we would probably see varroa mites, and even if we didn't see them, they would be there. And you would also be looking at your bees themselves for things like K-wing syndrome, which is where one wing's sticking out at the odd angle, because deformed wing virus is caused by varroa mites. And varroa mites are kind of like mosquitoes, where it's not that they kill directly so much as they vector lots of diseases. And because they can be hard to see individually, you'll kind of keep an eye out for the symptoms of the diseases they cause. But again, we're in Australia and we don't have to worry about that. You can see here in the bottom box we have much darker brood. And so this is really where, if you had diseases, you would be finding it. This beehive looks very healthy, but it's not the best brood pattern. But if you had chalk brood or sac brood, two of the more common diseases you might find, some of these cells would have either a chalky little lump or a black little sac, and that's chalk brood or sac brood respectively. If you had a really bad hive beetle problem, you might actually have this whole area looking kind of greasy and slimed out. That would be very bad. If you had wax moths, you might have some of the grubs kind of burrowing around in here. And unrelated diseases, but you can see bees doing the famous bee dance here. This bee that's dancing is communicating directions to other bees. And of course, the biggest single thing here, especially here in Australia, is we want to keep an eye out for foul brood, which is a highly contagious, incurable, deadly disease to bees. And it basically turns the brood into brown slime. And the key sign is you want to look for any perforated cells. And so fortunately none of these cells are perforated. But if we had any, you want to keep a very careful eye out every time you do inspections for any cells that have little holes in them. And if you find any little holes, you want to get a toothpick or a match head or whatever you happen to have and stick it in there. And if you can fish around and pull out some brown slime, which will kind of rope out, that's foul brood. And so that's something you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for. And if it gets really bad, you'll have a rank smell, but you'll want to catch it before that. So typically, when we're doing an inspection, first you take one frame out, and then that gives us space to more easily get the other ones out. And if you're a hobbyist, I would go through every brood frame every time. But on a commercial scale, you don't have time for all the enjoying of your bees you would like. So I typically will look at 2 or 3 frames from a good hive like this, and if I see nothing wrong with that, I'm probably not going to learn anything new from the other frames. So this one is good as well. And since we're making a quick little video, we'll call it good at that. So let's just put this back together. I always want to be very careful to not injure any bees. It's considered rather rude. Voila!